Hi, my name is Sean Legier at Tango Medical, and everybody has a story. We've been in the business of helping others for many years, and we had the opportunity to meet some pretty amazing people. We want to show you one video of one person that inspired us a whole lot, and hopefully this is the beginning of many more to come.
Right now, I'm kind of at a bit of a transition in my life. I've professionally just switched careers to a new job here at Tango Medical, so that was a big jump for me. Background is in engineering and project management, and for the last 10 years up until now, I worked at a consulting firm here in town. I'm a dad of 2 twin girls. My wife Melanie, she's a teacher. We live here in town over in Riverview. Add to the mix that I'm the president of Parasport New Brunswick in a volunteer capacity, just kind of developing and growing parasport in the province. It's kind of like a real passion for me. I'm also a paracyclist, and the past few years I've been taking that a little bit more seriously and competitively. I have 3 sisters, one of them older, 2 of them younger, and one of them with an intellectual disability. It's similar to Down syndrome, but it's not Down syndrome. She's quite high functioning, but at the same time she struggled all the way through her life, and that was a huge thing for my family. Growing up, it was me and my older sister who were often off with my father. We'd spend a lot of time out in the woods, out camping, like going on trips. So it'd be the 3 of us going down to Mount Katahdin or going to Ketchimakuchik National Park to go canoeing. So I spent a ton of time in the outdoors, right? And that was all summer. I was always the dirtiest kid coming out. My mom always joked about that why is everybody else clean and why are you dirty? I don't know. I got a lot into rock climbing and working at summer camps. I was bringing kids out on out trips and doing climbing and rappelling as well. So it was one of the pastimes that I enjoyed doing the most. It was October in 2005. That fall I had decided to stop playing rugby. I was on the UMB club rugby team, and I was getting pretty beat up every fall. I was a pretty slim guy, and there's some big lads out there playing on the rugby pitch. My biggest fear was blowing out my knee, and then I couldn't do a lot of the things that I like to do, like hike and run and climb and all these other activities that I really enjoyed. I was on a wall that I'd been on before, but I was doing it lead climbing, where I was placing my gear on the way up as I went, maybe pushing my boundaries a little bit too hard. But I certainly remember right before the fall thinking, this is not going as well as I would like it to go. By the time the rope actually caught me, I'd struck a ledge, and I'd fallen back, landing on the back of my head and shoulders, and broke my neck. They come in, they tell you, all right, Matt, you broke your neck, it's your C6 vertebrae. Breaking your C6 vertebrae means that your hands won't work, your triceps may work, but probably your triceps work. So your hands don't work, so they don't, but your triceps do, so you can move your arm to be able to push yourself up. So think about it, without your tricep, you can't lift yourself up. So that is the line between being able to be independent or not being independent from a clinical perspective. I felt really terrible. Like, I was with my now wife, girlfriend at the time, and she didn't ask for that. My parents had enough on their plate. My buddy who was there, I got him into climbing. I felt bad. It sucks. It sucks. It almost sucks more to live with those things than it does to live with the disability in a lot of ways. I couldn't do the whole why me, because I knew why me. I was out hanging off the side of a cliff and I fell, right? So the why me thing was never in the cards. And so I just focused more on limiting the damage to those around me, and the way I could do that was trying to get better. But it doesn't mean that I was handling it or coping with it in the right way. For me, it was honestly to put everything I had into being a functional human being. And that was my goal. And there was a series of challenges. It was just like another rock climbing problem, where I was just like, okay, instead of climbing rock walls, I'm learning how to put on my underwear. That was enough to keep me going for a while. But after 4 years, everything started to get a little bit routine. I'm a functional human being. Yay! I'm a functional human being, that's right. Yeah. But who just wants to be a functional human being? Right? Who wants to be a functional human being? Like, yeah. Talk to your kids. What do you want to do when you grow up? I want to get a job. I want to come home from my job and watch TV every night in bed. And then I want to get up the next morning and go to my job. And then I want to come home and watch TV in bed. Like, nobody says that. Like, yeah, I'm functioning. And I think there's a lot of people that find themselves in that. So I realized I was depressed. I was living in a really nice house, had a beautiful wife, and we were thinking about having kids, and I had a great job. And I liked my job, but at some point I realized I was miserable. And I just built up this series of excuses where they were good enough for me to just kind of not do a whole lot. It's winter, it's cold, there might be snow on the ground. Why would I leave the house? Other than to go to the places I absolutely needed to go. I was absolutely miserable, I wasn't happy, but it didn't mean that I didn't have a lot in my life to be happy about. And the biggest thing was, I never really accepted my injury. I never really accepted who I was. I had to redefine who I was, and I never did. When you have an injury like this, it basically thrusts an identity crisis on you. It takes all of the things that you used to be good at, all of the things you used to like to do, all of the things that define who you are, and it just throws them out the window completely. And then what are you left with? You're just left with you. So if you don't get really comfortable with who you are and what you are and what you kind of become, right? For me, it's being a quadriplegic. If you're not comfortable with that, that's a pretty shaky foundation to build on. That was when I realized that, oh crap, I gotta do something about this. And I was 30 pounds overweight, and I was having a hard time sleeping and a hard time breathing at night. Like, it was having a hard time transferring up into my car. It was just like compounding factors there where I realized something had to change. And I think I wasn't feeling good, I wasn't feeling better, but I remember it was around that same time I said, you know what, I'm gonna start biking. I had this old crappy recreational bike, and I went and found a trainer to put my front wheel on so I could use it like a treadmill. And it was down in my basement, it was in the middle of the winter. And I said, my wife was active, she was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym. I said, okay, I'm gonna get up and go downstairs and bike at 5 o'clock in the morning. About 3 months later, after doing that routine, I looked back and I said, oh my God, I'm actually happy. I remember I started going out for lunch with colleagues, and I would be out with friends on weekends, and I would be saying yes to like all sorts of different things. Like, it was just, the shift transformation was huge. Everybody says, oh, when I feel better, I'll do that. I'll do that when I feel better. You know, maybe next week that back pain will go away, and that's when I'll start to do this. And you have to almost do the reverse. You have to start doing something to make you feel better before you feel better. And you'll look back and you'll go, wow, I'm really glad I did that. The biggest issue for me was that I felt inadequate. Whatever the able-bodied population can do to reduce the stigma associated with these disabilities, and whatever they can do to reduce that stigma, to make it a more welcoming, inclusive, open society, will help the people themselves have more confidence to go out and achieve their dreams. Looking back, 13 years ago when I first got hurt, people heard about it in my community, and they rushed out to support me, and they made this fund. It was called the Matt Kinnie Inspiration Fund, and I didn't really feel as though I was much of an inspiration. Like, what did I do? I got hurt, and I messed up a bunch of people's lives, including my own mostly, right? And here they are doing all this work for me. They're saying, you're such an inspiration. And a year later I get out and I'm speaking at these events, or they're asking me to speak at events. And again, I feel like I'm a bit of a fraud. But I think now I can really look back on, everything I've achieved, and really, I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I'm really proud of who I am, and I can honestly say that I'm happy with everything that has gone on since then. And I think I am now, finally, after 13 years, ready to take on that challenge and maybe be that inspiration that everybody thought I was. And if people can draw inspiration from my story and see, wow, Matt was there, and he suffered that depression and did all, overcame that and came back, and look at him now. I'm proud of that. So if people can take any inspiration from that, I'm happy to share my story. Happiness very much is a choice, and it is a product of all of the things that you do. And I think people sit around and wait far too long before taking the right steps to kind of bring that happiness to them.